Yo! Video games.
What up, dudes? Matt here from YoVideogames, and today I got kind of a sort of bummer, sad news thing to go over today. And frankly, I'm just going to address it straight from the thumbnail and the title of the video you're reading is Square Enix cooked? And the answer is maybe, possibly. So yeah, they had their financial quarterly stuff come out, same as a lot of other companies. This isn't for the entire fiscal year, but it was pretty damning nonetheless because a lot of things came out today. There was like the basic, this is down, this is up, this is whatever. Basically they didn't sell as many games because they didn't release as many games, but they also didn't bleed as much because they weren't developing as much, yada yada. Like things are kind of down overall, but like the merchandise section is doing really well for the company. Like they're way up. So yeah, like, in the classic words of Mel Brooks, where the real money is made for Square right now isn't even in gaming, it's in merchandising. Like their MMO division's down, their HD division is like in this weird, like, well, we're not releasing as much, but we're not bleeding as much. But like, let's talk about the meat and the potatoes of this. Like what's really getting them cooked? Well, first of all, they announced that they are doing major layoffs in nearly all areas of their Western businesses in the United States and Europe, which is mostly on the West Coast and in the UK. And in the UK, they have laws basically saying, like, hey, you need to like inform people ahead of time. You can't just dump it on them unceremoniously. So, there's reports possibly coming out that was detailed with Video Games Chronicles by Andy Robinson, stating that he had heard possibly that there are about 140 people possibly in the UK, maybe, and I've literally seen it on my own Twitter feed today. People saying, "Hey, I was let go from Square Enix today. This is my last day at the office." So yeah, like a lot of people are getting, and this comes on after following people getting laid off all throughout the year. Like I've known people at Square Enix who got laid off before today. They've been downsizing, and it's happened even last year. There was downsizing as well. So this is kind of turning into a bit of a shit show at Square Enix as far as their Western. And I don't want to get too much into. There's a lot of like absolute sort of idiocy perpetuated online. It was like, well, the Western gaming, who cares? They didn't do anything, and they really kind of shows how the little people understand the amount of work and time that has to go into getting things localized, getting things distributed, getting coverage done, getting people aware of things, marketing, outreach. There's so much that goes into it, and it's like if you really if the Western side didn't really matter at all, you'd be literally looking at the Super Nintendo era of Squaresoft, where you basically like show up to a store and hope there's a game released, or I guess nowadays you would just go on the eShop or the PSN or Steam and be like, well, like, oh, there's a new Square Enix game. Like, I didn't know about that. Yeah, of course you didn't, because nobody talked about it. Nothing was done about it. So it's almost like a dark era Square is potentially putting themselves in by just gutting so much of the Western offices in Europe and America. And it's like, oh man, like, it's not a good thing. It's really not a good thing at all because, frankly, yeah, I might be small potatoes, but like for the YoVideogames as a whole, like we get good numbers, like me and Max, when we get, hey, someone comes out and says like there's going to be a media event for the next Final Fantasy game. And that does really well, and people like hearing about it. I know you guys like hearing about it. And if they're not doing that anymore, that's coverage we can't provide you. We won't be able to sit there and tell you like, hey, this new thing you may not have been following is coming out and it's great. Or, hey, I've got some concerns. There were some things that were a little bit not super great about, say, this upcoming Final Fantasy game. So it's just bad news all around, and that's not just for us. That's for everyone, content creators all over the place. Where if they just don't have any media outreach, if they just don't have any PR, if they don't have any marketing, it's just going to go into this sort of like, well, I guess people are just going to have to like, troll their Japanese social media accounts and just hope for the best when it comes to an American release. It's not good. It's just not good all around. And I have been saying for a while, and I've sort of been hinting at it, but it's really starting to come to light now publicly. Yeah, Square's not in the best position. They're obviously not doing super great. And how this affects future games going forward kind of remains to be seen. One thing they did say and talk about was they said they are in the middle of their 3-year restructure. So they're hoping by early to mid 2027, they want to be in their fully restructured company setup, which basically means quality over quantity. They're going to be doing a lot more high profile big game releases, just not a ton of other smaller projects on the side, which I think is a little bit of a shame, because I think you can do smaller projects and still make them fun, profitable, and worthy. One of the examples I would give would be Star Ocean Second Story R. The remaster of Star Ocean 2 was like a fairly good idea. I think games like Star Ocean 6 and maybe even Visions of Mana, although I think that's a little unfair to Visions, but games that are like the mid-budget that still cost a bit but like don't really bring in the returns, maybe I could see that not being as much. I think Team Asano's probably safe. I don't know what an Octopath or a Bravely Default costs, but they seem to get them out pretty quickly, and they seem to be worth the investment, for whatever Square puts into them. But yeah, I think it would be sad if Square Enix went into, we only do big budget releases, where we're kind of seeing that a little bit with Capcom a bit, where it's kind of like this sort of bouncing between major releases. They release like 2 or 3 big games a year, and we're kind of seeing less and less smaller, project titles from Capcom, and that's a little sad, because they have good stuff. Like DuckTales Remastered was great, and Strider, 2013 was great, even though that's 12 years ago now. But more recently, you had the Ghosts and Goblins Resurrections, and I hope there's more stuff like that coming from Capcom in the future. The Fighting Collection are small budget re-releases. Like, to be frank, like we're talking, those games, they definitely cost money and work goes into them, but obviously they don't have the budget of, say, Street Fighter 6. So. I just more projects like that, and eventually, I think Square Enix is probably going to run into. Maybe they were already running into it, and it's, man, I made videos about this before, but they're running out of games to remaster. Like, they're not out. There's still games they could remaster. Don't get me wrong, but they're probably running out of viable titles that could sell decent money at a remaster or a remake level. Now, again, there is still things they can do, but again, a Brave Fencer Musashi collection probably isn't going to sell a ton. Threads of Fate remaster probably wouldn't sell a ton. We've even heard rumors that the Final Fantasy IX remake has been put on ice, either delayed indefinitely or possibly canceled. So just they're running out of things to do. There are 2 projects that they could remaster and would get a lot of like eyes and ears on it. One is Chrono Trigger, but that comes with problems because it's not something Square can just do entirely on their own. They actually don't own the entirety of everything related to Chrono Trigger. I would like to go into more details about that, but I actually really can't. But let's just say there are legal things behind Chrono Trigger, which is why you don't see Chrono Trigger do much besides kind of re-release the same game. And there's never really been a huge touch-up on the graphics of Chrono Trigger in any re-release. It's always kind of like, here's Chrono Trigger. Maybe, I think the most ever done was the DS port. But again, that felt like a port with added content. So yeah, PS1 and DS are like the only times they've ever kind of sort of added stuff to Chrono Trigger. But again, there are powers at play with Chrono Trigger, making the remaster not as simple as Square would like. There is a remaster, though, that Square Enix doesn't have anything holding it back from doing anything with. And it's Xenogears. And I have a whole video explaining why that's probably not going to happen, because, yeah, I don't think there's anybody within Square Enix, especially a company getting rid of people, but again, although it's usually the Western side mostly, but yeah, there's no champion for Square Enix to make Xenogears remaster, because all the people who are involved with Xenogears are now working for Nintendo, and they are now keeping that IP going through the Xenoblade franchise, and they've improved upon it significantly. And they, you have two. Again, this is gonna like nutshell it, because I know people don't want to go watch an old video, but you either gonna have to, if you make it with conjunction with Monolith Soft, the creators of the Xeno franchise, then it becomes a Switch exclusive. And Square very clearly in this financial briefing that this video is about specifically stated they are done. They kind of got bit in, their hand got bit, their ass got bit by the exclusivity deals they made with Sony. It didn't work out for them, and they specifically highlighted how this year's releases with the Dragon Quest games and Final Fantasy Tic Tacs, that they were multi-platform day one, and it's actually been a much better thing for them. So yeah, Square has stated today they are not interested in console exclusivity any longer, and good for them. So that pretty much rules out any collaboration with Monolith Soft making a Xenogears remaster or remake, because they are a Nintendo-owned company. Nintendo owns 100% of Monolith Soft, and Nintendo will not, under any circumstances, have a first-party developer, let alone their crown fucking jewel, go and make a multi-platform game for Sony PlayStation. So yeah, Square doesn't need them. They could just do it themselves. But then again, you're literally going to have, someone's going to remaster and rewrite or add story content to a game that they had nothing to do with the original. So at that point, it becomes glorified fan fiction in a way. And I don't think Square has anyone who wants to do that. I don't think anyone wants to sit there and be like, let me take this very personal project, from Takahashi-san and everyone at Monolith Soft, and let me do my own idea of where it was supposed to go. Probably not going to happen. I could. Nothing legally stopping that, but I just don't see that happening. So I think Square, maybe they're realizing they're running out of remasters. They're running out of things to re-release. And that's why by the end of 2027, they're like, we kind of want to just be major console releases only, like just big titles only. You're talking about your Final Fantasy 17, 7 Part 3 will probably be out by then. Your Dragon Quest 12, your Kingdom Hearts 4, your major titles. And this also leads into the other part, which is the more important part of this, which is Square Enix wants, by the end of 2027, 70% of its QA to be done by generative AI. So QA and bug testing, they want to be done by a machine, which is probably the stupidest fucking thing they have stated they wanted to do since their previous CEO was all in on NFTs, and he was diehard for NFTs until he was ousted by the board. This is an insane fucking thing. Like, it's weird how Square Enix, being this longtime Japanese business, somehow keeps falling for all these modern day techno bro grifts. I wonder whose mouth is to their ear that keeps sweet talking them into these absolutely assholishly inane things. NFTs were going nowhere. I don't know if you remember this. You can look this up, where their former CEO was all in on the idea of gamers who play to earn them, where they were going to play their games and earn their NFTs and make their NFTs more valuable to the company by going off the playtime of the users. Yes, this was their literal strategy they had. And then until that was, NFTs are dying. And then, okay, are they going to pivot away? No, he was all in, ride or die, till they had to get rid of him. New CEO comes in. I love video games. Video games are great. Fuck my employees. AI will do the work for them. So Square Enix, the company that prides itself on presentation and artwork, and we have the most talented, gifted artists and character designers in all of video gaming, let alone Japan, and we're going to have 70% of our QA and bug testing be done by AI. The fact that they're going this hard in on AI pretty much tells you that what else are they not telling you about the AI? How much of programming, coding, how much of texture work are they going to do AI? That like the shitty door from Remake, I guess, was only the beginning here. So it's absolutely asinine and shameful that a company that is all about its fucking art, all about its artists, all about its musicians and soundtracks and whatever, and they're like 70% of our QA and bug testing needs to be done by AI by the end of 2027. That's our goal. That's fucked. Shit's fucked, man. And there's really no good way of saying this because and really the problem is like AI is only going to look for what AI is trained to look for. Because when you make new games, if there's still artistry actually being done in the development of their games going forward, there's going to be new gameplay systems and mechanics that the AI isn't trained to look for bugs in QA on, and it's not going to know what to look for because you can't teach AI to be creative. It can only plagiarize. So the fact that they want to do 70% of QA and debugging through AI machines is well, get ready. We are going to see some fuckery and jank coming out of their big budget only game releases that they also conveniently plan to have, in store by the end of 2027. So this company is running off a fucking cliff like a lemming when it comes to stability, when it comes to polish, when it comes to just, I guess, PR outreach at this point because they're cutting their nose to spite their face hard there. So yeah, this is not a good look for Square. This is a very, very dark day for Square Enix. It's a dark day for people who ever wanted to have any sort of community outreach or any sort of connection with the company who doesn't live in fucking Japan. This is a dark day for people who work there. This is a dark day for people who wanted to, in some way work for or contribute to making sure the games live up to their prestige and their name in the QA and debugging part of their company. It's just a dark day in general for this company. And again, I don't even know what the fuck they're doing, with regards to a lot of their games. Like Dragon Quest 12 is much, even though I do not cover that franchise, it's kind of just been announced and sat in limbo for fucking ever. Kingdom Hearts 4 is only slightly better in that regard. Like who the fuck knows when that game's coming out? I mean, we're all kind of like sitting here hoping 7.3 is going to come out, for the 30th anniversary. But like after that, well, then what? Like the discussion of will 17 be turn-based because of Expedition 33? Fuck that conversation. Will 17 be a polished game made by human hands and human ingenuity, or is it going to be like largely done through the use of fucking generative AI? So now that's the question we got to ask. And where the fuck is a new Nier game? Like, if Yoko Taro doesn't want to do a new Nier, that's totally fucking fine. But, like, it blows my mind that, like, we haven't really heard yes or no one way or the other. Like, games sold, like, 9 million copies, and they've just decided, like, all right, time to sit on our fucking ass. Here's a mobile game. We'll shut it down in a couple of years, and now it's gone forever. Like, are we going to do anything with this? Nah, here's a new concert, I guess. So, yeah, Square Enix looking real fucking rough at the end of 25. And with this dystopian fucking Skynet's going to be running our company by the end of 2027 for them. I hope they can turn it around. I hope that they do. I guess if this is all on the new CEO, if this is all his fucking ride or die AI initiative, throw his ass into the volcano just like the last CEO. And get someone else in there because this is not the way. Like this is only going to lead to problems. And by the time that goes into full effect and the problems manifest themselves, it is going to be fucking way too late. They are going to be in so much fucking pain because there will be no one left to hide, no one left to talk to, no one left to come in and fix all the problems that the AI doesn't catch. So yeah, not happy with this news today. Not really optimistic for the future of Square Enix. I'm sure 7.3 will be good. It's being made by the same people who did Rebirth. They did a good job. I'm sure they went right into work on this one. I'm not saying the quality of 7.3 is necessarily going to be affected by this, but pretty much after Final Fantasy 7.3, good fucking luck, man. Like this company is not in good places right now. So I hope things turn around. That's the best we can do at this point. And yeah, let me know what you guys think, and I will see you on the channel. Later, dudes.